You're very welcome back to the programme. Well, first to Paris. Last night's terror attack on the Champs-Élysées killed one policeman and seriously injured another. One gunman was shot dead. It's still not entirely clear whether or not he was operating alone. Well, this comes just days after what was described as a potentially significant terror attack in Marseille was prevented. And of course, 2 days before the French go to the polls in the first round of what is a very tight presidential race. Well, just before we came on air, I spoke to security consultant Olivier Guita and asked him first about the latest on those involved in the attack.
The perpetrator of the attack is the 39-year-old French national that was under investigation for terror links. He was arrested also and sentenced back in 2003 for 15 years in jail because he had attempted to kill 2 police officers, and he was arrested again on February 23rd of this year, but he was let go because they couldn't find any proof of his links to terror groups. That's the one thing that is important to note is that Islamic State, when claiming responsibility for the attack just a few hours after, named the jihadist as a Belgian national. So usually they don't get their perpetrators wrong. So it means 2 things. There was possibly a second person that would have been involved in the attack, and that could fit into the ID that French security services have been looking since yesterday for a Belgian national. Or it could mean that they got it wrong. It happened once in the past that the Islamic State got their information crossed up. So one of the 2.
And if the Islamic State got the information wrong, would it indicate that this 39-year-old French national, it was a lone wolf attack? He was doing it on his own?
It sounds much more probable that there might have been a second accomplice, then Islamic State got it wrong and it's a lone wolf attack. Because of the fact that this guy was on terror watch list and because also he was being investigated at the time. So I think the lone wolf suggestion is at the time being totally to be dismissed.
And the crimes for which he was convicted of back in 2003, were they also linked to a jihadist way of thinking? No. What were they linked to?
No. I mean, he was a criminal, and we think that probably got radicalized when he was in jail. So obviously that changes the picture, but it's classically the case that most of the jihadists that we've seen acting in the West have been radicalized in Western prisons.
We've seen reports today that the police in Paris, they're searching a house in the suburb of Chelles, I think it's called. Is this the family home of this 39-year-old? What do we know about his background, his family?
Not much. We know that 3 acquaintances / relatives of his have been arrested this morning and they're being interrogated right now. We don't know much because his name was just released just an hour ago. So before that, it was just speculation on the part of reporters of who he was. So I think the information will trickle down during the day. But for now, it's kind of difficult to say.
There was another terror attack that was foiled this week, one in Marseille. Do you think there are any links between the 2 attacks? Do you think that possibly the attention was turned to a softer target, police on a street in Paris?
Very possibly. I mean, the attack that was foiled in Marseille was of a much larger scale, much more professional. They had 3 kilos of explosives. They had a huge arsenal, and they were preparing really a large-scale attack. You know, we don't know if it was against possibly a candidate to the presidential election or or the headquarters of one of the candidates. But still, from what I heard, was really something that could have been in the proportion of the attack in November of 2015. As you said, this one is a much less professional attack, and could be linked to the fact that the first attack wasn't successful. Islamic State had a lot on the line in terms of their credibility, because they have asked their followers to attack France just before the presidential election. So for them to pull off an attack was critical.
Okay, and Olivia, just finally, I mean, you're a security consultant. As you say, the big attack was foiled this week by French authorities. They obviously missed this one. How do you think they're doing in their their vigilance against terror?
To give you an idea of the scale of the work they have to do, they can follow and monitor at the same time only 40 potential terrorists. And they have on their list 3,000 of them that are potentially ready to strike France. So this is the scale. So they're doing
and
not
this
so bad.
Man last night, he was one of those 3,000. He was on a list.
Yeah, he was actually on the list of the 15,000, because the list is larger. The 3,000 number is for the ones that consider quite dangerous. The list encompasses 15,000 potential jihadists in France.
Okay, well, that was a security expert, Olivier Guita, speaking to me just before we came on air.